Hey everybody, this is showing how to pump out Serenity. A lot of people have been asking for it. I'm going to kind of really start with the basics. I'll try to keep it short, but there's a lot of stuff to go over. So first thing, when you come in on the starboard side, which is the captain's side, because that's where your pump out is, and it's also easier to control the captain. We've got, you want to tie up here. All of these pump outs just have eyelets, they don't have cleats. So the best thing to do is run your rope up, tie it off good on the cleat, run it up through, and then tie it back off to the cleat. Okay, we'll do that both front and back, and you just put a fender in front, a fender in back. Try to use one end of the dock so you leave it open for other boats on the other end. Okay. Oh, let's show them the equipment next. Okay, let's start here with the lake water. There's no, oh, you have to have your own hose for drinking water, but we can do that. Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, okay. So this is the lake water. The red hose is lake water. You can use as much of this as you want. It just comes out of the lake, goes back in the lake, and lots of pressure, lots of volume. So we not only use it to flush the tanks out, but I use it up on the decks. We get the kids up there, maybe a squeegee or so, and we hose down the decks, and then eventually on the front and rear decks. So you get a lot of volume, it gets rid of a lot of the sand. And then if you have all the windows closed like you should, you can even do the sides, get all the cobwebs and all of that. And then we'll show you what you do with it when we actually start pumping out. So this is the actual pedestal control for the actual pump out. So you've got a cam lock end here. We'll show you how that works here in a minute. Make sure the valve is closed. And then what you have to do is you just start it, and you can actually hear the pump come on. And this is on a timer, so if you're doing a long period, you might have to hit this a couple times. If you got a lot of people on here, it just takes longer because it's just more people sucking, and the pump can only do so much. Today, we're up here in the middle of March, it's just us, so it should go pretty quick. So when you get done with this, obviously, try to clean it with a hose and hang it back up. And then you can shut it off if you want, although it will time out. Okay, we're in the aft cabin, and as most of you know, you got to access here in the floor. Be careful, only pull it out when everybody's aware that it's out, or it'll be a problem. But so this is where your holding tanks, all of that is under here. So we're going to show you how those are situated. So this is the main right here. This is the one that heads up to the suction port, okay? Runs up here, goes through a pipe, and we'll show you in a minute where the bulkhead fitting is for that. And then we have 3 of the factory tanks, 1, 2, 3. And then these are all pulling off the bottom of those tanks, okay? And then we put in an extra auxiliary sort of tank. It's a half the size for a 4th tank, is right here, okay? So when you have more than half full, this thing's going to be plumb full. All right, so I'm going to be real brief on this, but the way that this boat was built with these tanks, there's a little bit of a problem in that both toilets basically flow, because of the way the piping is, the inlet piping, it flows into this tank first. And then there's a crossover pipe that ties into this tank and then into this tank. So what happens, a lot of the solids get hung up in this tank. So if you're on a normal week, it should be fine. But if you're having problems and it doesn't feel like you're getting the stuff out properly, what you can do then is you can isolate this tank and just suck from it, just to force the suction through that one tank that we think is usually the problem. The way you do that is, this is a slide valve, much like you'd have on an RV. You can see it's up now, so you'd have to close that valve. And then you come over here, and it takes a little bit of effort, but this 2-inch ball valve here, that isolates this tank. So by closing this valve and closing this valve, all the suction is going to be forced to suck out of this tank, and you might have to do that. It's a good idea to do it if you can, just to keep that one really free of the solids. Okay, but anyway, normally if you don't have any problems, you can just leave these open and this open, and it sucks all through. That's what we're going to try to do, because it's set all winter with some solution in it that should have everything broke up pretty good. But anyway, that's how the sanitary system works here. So we'll move on now and we'll show you where the suction port is. Okay, so up in the closet there's a box that says pump out. Obviously that's what this was. So you got some gloves in here, and you also have the key that opens the bulkhead. Here's the bulkhead fitting. Right here it says waste on it. You use the key to open it. Okay. All right, I'll put my gloves on. So one pump out location for all 4 tanks, unless you're going to go ahead and isolate them like we talked about a little bit ago. So right now we have them all open. It should get them all, we think, for today. A little bit difficult. Okay. All right. So down here, there's 2 of them actually. So these are the actual fittings that you need, the cam lock fitting. Oh, here. And it's also got another one of those keys on it if you need it, if you don't want to get it out of the Tupperware thing there. All right. So here's the fitting, 1.5-inch pipe threads with a rubber gasket. Goes in here. Okay, get it just snug, doesn't have to be real tight. And then take your hose, we've got it running. Just be careful it's not dribbling stuff, and try to be as careful as you can. Okay. So initially you're just trying to get as much stuff out of there as you can. So you just go ahead and hook it up. You kind of got to turn this sideways so you can get the cam lock. Make sure you get both of these back like that. Okay, that locks it in. Okay, now you're ready to go. And there's a sight glass here so you can watch the goodies go by. I don't know if you can get.
Oh yeah.
All right, so it'll take, with these things full, it's going to take a while. And what you're going to do is you're going to let this go until you start seeing it sort of surging. And then when it's surging, you go ahead and shut it off for about 10 seconds. Let the stuff accumulate back around and then open it up again. And then it'll take off. But there's no sense doing anything now other than just letting it get the stuff out of there. And you can kind of tell there's really no solids in there. It's just the stuff that when Mike winterized it last year, he put some of that root cleaner stuff, so it's kind of broken everything up, which is good. All right, great. We'll stop it for now until we get to that point. Okay, so you see here we're surging. So we're down at the bottom in just a second. So what you want to do is shut that off for a little bit. Let it kind of collect around the suction, and then hit it again. And that gets some velocity going to try to pull that stuff off the bottom. We're going to do it one more time. All right, so it's not too bad right now. There's not a lot of solids. It's not clean, but it's not terrible. So we're going to shut that off. Now we're going to add water in there to kind of help flush it out and clean it up a little bit. So we're going to pull these off, the cam locks. This will come off, keep it in the area to kind of keep it clean. We're having to use a the valve screwed up here. They don't have a handle on it, so we're going to use a pair of pliers, unfortunately. All right, so you're not going to drink out of this, so you can just put it out of there. And then we're going to, there. All right, so all we're doing is putting water back in those tanks, kind of kicking stuff around in the bottom and putting clean water in. So you're going to want to let this, we got big tanks, so, you know, this is probably running, it's probably doing like 3 gallons a minute, maybe 4 gallons a minute. So you want at least probably 10 gallons in there sloshing around, maybe 15. So we're going to leave it on there for a little bit. And this, all this is doing is going back down through the piping, through those valves and everything, and back into the bottom of the tank. And we're sort of filling it up from the backwards way. And when we get done, I'll show you. You want to do this when you're all done. You want to put a little water in the bottom so it stays kind of soft and wet until it gets used enough. So you can see how much velocity you got there if you want to clean stuff up. All right. All right, now we're going to put this back on. Make sure the pump, is that pump still running in the house there? You might hit the, yeah, there we go. So it timed out, so we had to turn it back on. All right, now you should see it getting a little bit cleaner when we're pulling it. And we're going to do this one more time. And you're kind of do the same thing when it starts surging, which it should start pretty quick because we only had probably 15 gallons, 20 gallons in there. All right, it's starting to surge a little bit now. Okay, see it? All right, we're going to stop it. Do that one more time. Okay, same procedure. Hopefully when you get down here, your valve will have a handle on it. They do have a handle on the valve by the reel, but it just made it awkward for trying to do that while we're taping. So you could use that, just leave this one open. Normally on a plumbing system, like in your house and whatnot, everything is round so that the flow line, as it starts getting down, it's still in the area where all the solids are, so it theoretically carries all the solids down a pipe. We've got flat tanks in here, so that's why at times we get solids built up in there. So we're doing the best we can to kind of kick that stuff around and get it to where we suck it out as best we can. All right. Okay. All right, this will be I think this will be the last time sucking unless we get a bunch of stuff that we weren't anticipating. Okay, make sure these are both. One thing you have to be careful with on this. If you don't have these clamped right, you get that velocity going. If this would happen to come off, it gets really messy fast. Because even though you pull the suction off, all the velocity is still coming, and it just would spray it all over. So make sure you got this locked in. All right, here we go. Yeah, it's getting a little cleaner. That's actually not bad there. you know, the water's a little discolored. Some of that is from the sight glass, but there's really no solids or any chunks or anything in there. So we're going to go ahead and let it surge. We're going to go through that whole thing one more time. You know, you need to dedicate, when you come to the pump out, you need to dedicate at least 45 minutes here. That's if you can get right in and get after it. And that would give you time to, while somebody's doing this, a couple people doing this, the rest of everybody can be hosing stuff down, because there's 2 or 3 of these available on the dock. And unless it's really crowded, you'd have one up top doing that, and you'd have another one down here. Because while this is sitting here, somebody could be hosing stuff down. All right, we should be getting, yeah, here it comes. Getting ready to start surging. And see, that's actually pretty clean there. And you can actually hear it sort of gurgling. Another thing, we're not doing it now because there's only 2 of us, but what I'll do if I got people, I'll have them flushing the toilet, each toilet, while this is going on, to kind of, whatever might be in that, we'll clean it out. So that's another good idea. And then I'll show you what else we'll do with the toilet at the very end. All right, see, it's starting to gurgle now, so we'll stop it. One more time. Okay, that's plenty good there. You can actually see there that it's getting really clean now, or, well, not really, I wouldn't drink it, but. All right, so now we're gonna shut this off. We're done with this now, so we just kind of set it aside. So while it's down here, and when you turn this on, because now what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of pre-charge it with clean water. So we're gonna turn this on, and while we're doing that, we're going to kind of flush the end of the cam lock out, so it's if there's any nasty stuff in there, we can get it. I don't know how it's going to work with this valve, but
unknown caller.
All right, so clean this off. All right, now that's ready. Now you can go ahead and put. We're going to kind of put about the same amount that we've had in there before. We're going to put that in there. And then, when we get that in there, we're going to go to each toilet, and we're going to put like a double dose of chemicals, whether it's liquid or the pods, and we're going to flush those down there. And then at that point, you've got whatever in there is already charged with the chemicals. Should keep everything smelling halfway decent and ready for the next deal. So that's really it. You get done, we'll pull this out, put this back in, you'll put the nozzle back on the lanyard there, put everything away, double check everything, and it should be it. Okay, so we've got the tanks charged with quote-unquote clean water, probably about 10-15 gallons in there. So now what we're going to do, we're take one of the pods, throw them in there. I let them sit for a while so they hopefully soften up the plastic. And while we're doing that, whatever you do, have one of the most important things you can do once we get past safety issues with your crew, nothing other than human waste and the supplied toilet paper can go down that toilet. Nothing. I don't care if it says flushable on it, dude wipes and all this other feminine napkins and all that stuff. It'll screw these up and you'll have a really bad week because you won't be able to use the toilets. So make sure everybody understands that. We have plastic bags for products. A lot of guys bring their own, like compactor strength type bags, and they put it in there and everybody just uses that, but not down the toilet. Okay, so it's been soft for a little bit. On this toilet, remember, forward starts the flush cycle, and this flushes 3 times. It fills the bowl a little, and then it flushes. It needs to be cleaned from the winter, but then it flushes. Fills the bowl one more time. And it flushes. And then it'll fill the bowl, and it should stop at that point. Okay, now on this toilet, if you want to add water to the bowl, you go backwards. Well, wait a minute, I had that wrong. That just flushes without water. So then we'll just do that again, make sure we get everything. Go through that cycle again. So that's that one. We can go ahead and show you this other one because it's a little different. Okay, so this is a little bit simpler toilet. The toilet we just looked at, it actually brings in lake water, has a separate pump that brings in lake water, and then it does the flush all on its own. This toilet is one we replaced last year. It's more of a conventional marine toilet. It uses the water from the water tank. So you got to make sure that your water pump is on, in slip with water pressures. You got to have water pressure on the domestic system for this. And we're having a little issue with this switch this morning, or afternoon. So anyway, all you do is when you're done your business, you see it pumps in, lets water in, and then it pumps it out. Okay, and then you might want to let that cycle. Here, let's do this. All right, we're going to put this in here. We're going to let it sit. Those bags are designed to deteriorate in water, so they're okay for the pumps. But again, the same one with this one. Nothing but human waste and the prescribed toilet paper. And obviously the chemicals. All right, so. Okay. All right, that's it. And as long as you follow that, you should have no problems. Again, we have the bags here for stuff that shouldn't be going down there.